Okay, so hello everyone. So today we're going to look at Tata Steel Masters round 3. So I will be doing like all the rounds, guys, till the last. So today it's round 3. Mm. Okay, so first let's go to yesterday's game, right? I stopped in middle, so let's analyze a bit for yesterday's game, and we will go for present games now. Okay, actually Fabiano won. Let's see that. So we stopped around here. Yeah, we stopped around here, guys. I think, yeah. We saw till 21 moves. So from this position, we'll see the game and we'll go to live games. Ankit Raj, hello. Hi. So King F8. Donchen played H4. I think he wants to open up the position. So he played H4. Fabiano played Queen A2. I think at this position itself, it was difficult for white, because actually because of this pawn, black king is safe, is more safer than white. Obviously, just look at this. There is nothing in front of it, like 3 pawns rolling over. It's really difficult to play. So he took on g6, b3, bishop e1. I think giving space for the king. c4, just pushing the pawns. Look at this pawn on f7. So black king is completely safe on f8. Rook takes d4, knight a4, queen and bishop a3, guys. This is the move of the day, we can say, actually. So amazing move. So the thing is, okay, if he takes on a2, he'll just, that's what he took, and it's just queen. Let's say if he took on a3, then first you can take on e2, but I think there is no need for that. You can just play b2 check. You cannot take with the queen because queen takes b2. If king c2, then queen b3 check, king d2 only move. By the way, he cannot go to d2 because queen was hanging on b1. So king, pawn c3 check. Again, it's forced to go d3 or e3. Wherever he goes, just c2 check, and look at this. Like pure middle game, and the pawns are like queening. Just amazing position. So he'll just take, and it's over. Just a minute, guys. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's over. So such a wonderful move, bishop a3. As I said before, Fabiano Caruana is really good in classical chess. I mean, a lot of people say that generally he won't play much blitz or rapid blitz format. He won't play much. We haven't seen him much in any tournaments also. But he's super strong in classical chess. David, hi, hello. Thank you guys for joining. So let's go back. I'm back. Good evening. Good evening, Ananta. Good evening. Okay. Thank you guys for joining. So I'll be doing all the rounds daily. So total, I think 13 rounds. Yeah, I think 13 rounds. Okay, let's go. We have a lot of games to see actually. We have to see one more game, and we'll go for the live games. So he took on a2 because black is just threatening to take on b2, right? So he took b8, and just look at this. He cannot stop the queen actually. So he played king c2. It's a nice trick. So he thought, what he thought was, I think, if queen, bishop b4 check, he should take, and he can take the queen. It's a kind of skewer, and he thought, okay, he's pieced on, but At least he has some compensation, right? He has pawns, he can try. But obviously Fabiano saw it and played rook b8. Rook d8 check. I think he cannot take on a3 because rook b2 check. He has to go back only way, and this checkmate. So rook d8 check, and he took. Now it's like he diverted the rook, right, from this file, and he played c3. Now the thing is, if I play queen, he's giving the check and he'll take the queen, right? So first he blocked it with c3, blocking this square, and he cannot take the pawn also because rook c8 and he is losing the bishop. As you can see, actually generally they say that knight on the rim is dim because the knight will have very less scope. But if we see from here, the knight on a4 plays a crucial role as one of the important piece in this attack, like controlling c3 squares, all the squares controlling. So you can see that how strong that knight is, c3. Because of the knight on a4 he cannot take the pawn, and he's threatening to queen. Only move should move the bishop, rook check, this knight check, and is just losing this e2, and I think this pawn will queen after some moves. So amazing game, right? Amazing game by Fabiano. So we'll see one more game, Grandelius versus Duda. So okay, let me flip the board. I think I can flip the board. So Grandelius won the first game with Donchenko, and he won with Duda again. He's on 2-on-2, which is amazing. So where were we? So I stopped here and thought that okay, it's really complicated and unclear position. And because white has this knight on d5, black is getting this queen s3, knight e2 stuff. A lot is there because all the time white has to be careful, because if he plays some small mistake, suddenly attack will come and checkmate over. So what he did, he took on e7, Duda. Maybe he thought that okay, I'll take this and I'll bring my other knight to d5. I don't know, maybe he shouldn't have taken that, but I'm not sure. Okay, take knight e3, queen d7, again coming back to the best square for the queen, I guess, in this position, because it always keeps an eye on this h3, right? Suddenly, like, he'll go, like, let's say if knight d5 can go here, again he has to go back. So he took the knight on d4. Okay, why he took? First thing is his knight is very strong on d4. Always it can jump on to this e2 square. Like, let's say knight d5, queen s3, rook g1, then knight e2. So okay, so the knight is attacking the rook. He cannot move the rook because checkmate on g2. So I thought, what, actually this bishop is also not doing much on b2. I thought, okay, that knight is so active, so let's just exchange that knight. I think it is fine. You can take because knight looks so active on d4. So he took knight d5, rook b e8. So what's the threat? Let's see. So there are some interesting stuff here. So actually the rook was not doing much on b8, right? We for every move, this is one important tip, guys. When you're playing every move, try to activate all your pieces. Like when you're keeping it on a square, you have to maximize the potential of that piece, right? So always try to find the best squares and look for, okay, what is a piece that which is not doing much. Like if we see in this position, this queen is nicely placed, like keeping an eye on h3. The bishop is fine, it can join. This rook is fine defending this pawn. Only this rook is not doing anything in this position, so he thought, okay, I'll just bring my rook to the game. It's nice. So there are some small traps here. Okay, we can see, let's say something like rook b1. Black can play rook e5 or even queen h3. I think maybe rook e5 is better. I don't know, maybe I think rook e5 is better. The threat, whatever the threat, let's say he plays something like a4, let's say to play on queen side, or queen a5, let's say, to attack these pawns, etc. And black has a very nice tactic here, queen h3, threatening checkmate on g2. Rook g1 only move because to control the square. By the way, he cannot play knight f4 because he'll take with the rook. Takes checkmate. As you can see, all pieces are participating in the game, in this game. So queen h3, rook g1. So any of you guys can find the move now? Please let me know in the chat. At least mate in 2 now. Yeah, so he can take queen takes h2. King takes, and it's rook h5 checkmate. Just look at this pawn, how important this pawn is playing the role. Like queen sack, and it's a mate. So just look at this. We always have to be careful when whatever the opponent's piece is coming to our camp. Just one pawn. It's controlling lot of space and creating mating threats. See, we always have to be careful for that. So that's the thing, right? So rook e5, and the threat is queen h3 takes on h2 and rook h5 mate. Now it's already a bit scary for white because the knight on d5 is active, but it's not doing much here. I mean, the knight is perfectly placed, but the attack on king side doesn't justify this active knight. It's not doing much, right? So he played rook g1, threatening to play g4, I guess, stopping this queen h3 stuff. So black played queen g4, good move. Like, okay, it's one of the important rules, like, whenever our opponents play the move, we should just think like, okay, what's his plan, like why he played rook g1. There is, like, I didn't play queen h3 to stop the mate, so why to play rook g1? Because these kind of ideas are coming, right? So he wants to play g4 and cut all of those attack, like those plans. So black says, okay, I'm going to stop it, which is a nice move actually, controlling this. I mean, not letting to play g4. He played queen d1. What is his plan now? I think he wants to play queen f1. Let's play some random moves. Queen f1. Let's play something like this, and h3. He wants to drive away this queen because of this queen, it's everything is controlled and king is trapped here. So he wants to give some space. Like now he can play king h2, and if he queen moves, we can play g4 also. Like let's say g4 also, and I think it's bit fine now. Like he can play rook g3, some stuff. He got some breathing space for his king. So black played rook e5. We can see in this position that how their plans are clashing, right? Now what he is saying, now if you play queen f1, I am going to play rook h5, not allowing this h3. Like just see, white is playing, he has some plan, black is stopping it, and again he is trying for some plan, again black is stopping it. That's how it is. And it's kind of easy also, when we just keep thinking the most, we might get confused, like what's going on whatsoever, we won't understand anything. But if we think like Okay, why he played this, what's his plan, like that, then it's easy, right? Okay, he played this move for, okay, he want to do this, so okay, how to stop that, what to do for that. It's kind of easy now. Like we have to make it easy for ourselves. So okay, last two moves we can see, like he played this, he just stopped it, he played this and he just stopped it, and white played knight f4, stopping rook h5, and he is planning h3, g5. Again, his plan is to play h3, he stopped it. Anyway, he played h3 because okay, if knight d5 again, I think black will play rook e6, and he'll just play rook h6, and yeah, he cannot do anything. I think he's just losing because he cannot stop rook h6 and queen h5. It's mate. Just see this pawn on f3, stopping everything. Stopping everything. Anirudh, hello Anirudh, hi. Thanks for joining. So we can see like how amazing it is if we, in like just say generally, like sometimes we will see just seeing the moves like this. We'll just go like this, like don't even know what's happening. Like just pressing the keyboard and going, oh, okay, he played a nice game. But if we actually see deeper and think what's going on, we can see how like the clash between their plans, right? Like just see from here, knight d5, rook b8 to bring the rook. He played rook g1 to play g4 and stop. He played queen g4 to stop g4. He played queen d1 to play queen f1 and h3. Black played rook e5 to stop there. Knight f4 to play h3 again. g5 again he stopped it. h3 and he came back. Now he cannot move the knight because queen has a checkmate. Like let's say if this, he'll just checkmate. So he has to give the piece. So he gave piece for this pawn. And because of that pawn, just see, because of that pawn, how much attacking options has came, and we just got the piece. So he went back rook e7. Anyway, it's pinned, right? He cannot move the knight because he'll just take. Actually, not even queen, also it's just queen has a checkmate. So he played rook g2. He played queen c7. Now it's like what he's thinking. Like if, let's say if I take first, he'll take. If we go back again, go back now, he'll just play f5. Now he has some compensation, right, for the piece. Like these pawns are blocking the rook files, and white can play rook g2, rook this a rook to g1. He has some attacking chances. So Grandelis didn't give any chance. He simply moved the queen and just took the pawn. No, he's just completely winning. There's no need to do much analysis from here because black is just piece up, and he has attacking chances also. So queen h4, just moved the king from the pin, played b6, queen f4 back, just took, trying to exchange the queens because he's just piece up. If he exchange and goes to endgame, it's just complete easy win, right? It's like why to complicate things. Rook this, threatening to take on f2, queen f4, took on f2 and rook e7, and slowly he will attack this pawn like with rook e8 or queen e3. He is attacking a2 pawn also. Slowly he will lose this pawn also, and his king is open. Black is just piece up. He just resigned. Such a wonderful game by Grandelis. Like if we see like the plans and all, how it went, amazing. So let's go to live, guys. Let's go to live games. Like okay, first Magnus versus, okay, let's see Hari Krishna's game. Indian, obviously we are rooting for Hari Krishna. Actually he played a nice game, but the game was drawn because black also defended very well. So he is playing with Granules Niels, who is in very good form now. Hari Krishna is black, so let's see. E4, E6, French defense. Yesterday only we talked about it actually, like Caro-Kann and French defense, the difference. Like it's about the taste, like some players like Caro-Kann more, some players like French more. Actually, a lot of players, a lot of players, lot of top players tries all the openings. Like they won't be fixed to one opening, they'll try all the openings. Just a minute. Ah. So let's see. E4, E6, D4, D5, advanced variation, C5. Obviously he fixed because the bishop is locked. Now we have to open up in the center. So C5, C3, Queen B6, Knight F3. I think Knight C6 is the main move here, but I think Queen B6 is also there. There is a nice idea behind it. If we see Knight F3, Bishop D7. So, if we see what's the most bad piece in the French defense, it's this bishop, because it gets locked behind the pawns. It doesn't have much scope. So black played Queen B6 and Bishop D7 to play Bishop B5 and exchange this bad bishop for white's good bishop. Let's see, after exchanging these bishops, suddenly black bishop looks bit fine, right? Because all pawns are fixed in white and black has a dark squared bishop. And for white, if we see all pawns fixed in dark and he has dark squared bishop. So it's an important rule. Like what color bishop we have to keep opposite. I mean, we have to keep our pawns in opposite color. Let's say if we have light color white bishop and we have to keep all the pawns in black squares, because if we keep our pawns as same as our bishop color, it doesn't have scope, right? It cannot move. Let's say if this pawn was on c6, then just look at this bishop, like not doing anything. There is no scope for that bishop. So we have to, so that's the plan. Like he wants to exchange this bishop, and this bishop is nice because all pawns are fixed in light squares. That's nice actually. So bishop d7, bishop b2, he took on d4 and played bishop b5. That's the whole point of this queen b6 bishop d7, to exchange that bad bishop. Short castle. For this he lost some tempos. Like generally if we see in opening, it's a thumb rule that for every move try to develop a new piece and try to develop new pieces, and short castle, get your king to safety and then play. But here if you see, he played queen b6 and bishop d7, takes and bishop b5. He only played with that bishop, but actually it's fine, I think, because that's a bad bishop, and if we exchange it, that's good for us. So bishop b5 and he exchanged that bad bishop. Nice, that's nice actually. So he took, play knight c6. Now just imagine this position with bishops. Like let's say if white bishop was on d3 and black bishop was on c8, just look the difference. The bishop on d3 is like looking at king's side, very strong, controlling all the squares, and the bishop on c8 is not doing anything, like it's just a big pawn. So now it's like he exchanged his bad bishop for white's good bishop. So now he's developing his pieces. He's just behind, like some moves he need, like knight e7, knight g6 or knight f5 and bishop e7 cancelling. Like he wastes some tempos to exchange that bishop. but if he somehow develop his pieces, he is going to be fine. So knight c6, knight c3, knight g7, queen d3, rook c8. So I don't know, maybe I thought, okay, maybe knight f8 was, okay, that's a nice trick. Whoa. So knight is on plan is to develop, is to play knight f5 and to attack this pawn. And obviously it makes sense, queen, knight looking at this pawn, uh, and one more knight will join the attack. So what I want to say is, guys, actually, what about knight takes d4? Isn't it a free pawn? Looks like that, right? Like just queen takes. But white has queen b5 check. Now we can see the problem, like here, for not developing the pieces. Queen b, see, like if we see bishop is on f8, still knight on g8, and he has to move queen b7. I think it's just 1-0, because black king is fully exposed, and he'll just play knight b5, bishop e3, bishop g5 check. It's just over. So he played knight g7 to play knight f5 and attack. White played queen d3, nice move. Now we cannot play knight f5. Why means white has a nice tactic, guys. Can you guys find out if you see? White has a nice tactic here. White has knight takes d5. If we take with the pawn, he can win this knight. So again, full pawn structure got disturbed, and our pieces are not developed. And first of all, white is a pawn up. But let's say if black takes here, he'll just take, and e6, opening up the position. And I think it's just over. I think white is just winning. I mean, if not winning, like, it's just completely better. So he played rook c8, and white played rook d1. Mr. Uday Jabar, please analysis attacking gaps. Okay. Okay, I understood. Okay, for sure, maybe some video I'll do about it, for sure. Yeah, attacking games are always interesting, right? So rook d1, this is the position. Yeah, Mr. Uday, I'll do some video about it, about Michael Thal games. So rook c8, rook d1. So let's see next game. Let's see Magnus game. Okay, where are we? So Magnus is white. Let's done this thing, right? Flipboard, yeah. So d4. So Magnus is playing with Tari Aryan, his country mate. He's also from Norway. So okay, d4, knight f6, c4, e6, knight f3, d5. It's Queen's Gambit declined. Variation, which is very popular. I think this opening has been playing from almost 100 years, like from long back. From long back, this opening has been playing and it's really solid. As we can see, yesterday Firoz also played this with Magnus himself. So yeah, like every player should learn this Queen C Gambit decline variation. So d5, knight c3, c5, cd5 and cd4. I'm not sure. I think this is some sideline. c5 is terrace variation. Like if it takes cd5, takes with the pawn. Like there are so many lines. Bishop g5, e3, g3 is the main line. So what black does in this line is he is making isolated pawn, like it's a weakness. For that, his pieces will get rapidly developed, like knight c6, bishop g4, bishop castling, rook e8. The position is open, right? So his pieces will get developed fastly. But for that, uh, like he made isolated pawn. But okay, he took c takes d4. I think this is some sideline. Queen takes, e takes d5, e4. I think this is all theory. If we don't play e4, black will just play knight c6, bishop c5, short castling, and I think black position is better. So should play e4. Now if we play knight c6, white has bishop b5. Very interesting move. Pinning the king, he cannot take queen because it's pinned. And if he takes here, takes knight g5, like we will see in the game. It will almost it will be like in the game. So d takes c4, queen d8, king d8, knight g5, attacking f7 pawn and e4. The main thing is not about e4 pawn because I mean we'll get this pawn for sure. Like we can develop our bishop castle, rook e1, and we will get. So knight g5, bishop e6, because he has to defend this f7, right? Because if he moves the king, like let's say king e8 or king e7, there's bishop f4. I mean sorry, bishop c4, and attacking this pawn again, it's even bad. So bishop e6, knight takes e6, pawn takes e6. Now if we look at the position, white is a pawn down, but the position is open. White has double bishop and these pawns are doubled, and we can see how weak is this pawn. Like we will get this pawn for sure after some moves. So takes, bishop g5, pinning the knight, threatening to take on e4, knight c6, long castling check, like getting king to safety and activating the rook, king e8, bishop b5, pinning the knight. So like white plan is to take on c6. Let's say some normal, like let's say something like bishop e7. So white will takes, and just look at the position. This pawn is weak, this pawn is weak, this pawn is weak. Full weakness, black full position is weakness. Now we can just play rook e1 or rook d4. Maybe we can take on f6 and take on e4 as well. Like white position is completely fine. So bishop c5, he has to play rook c8. Just a minute, guys. Okay. So rook c8, he has to defend that, right? Instead of so rook c8 and defending this. King b1, just getting out of this pin. Bishop b4, bishop f6, takes knight e4 and f5. So we are at this position. So it's opposite color bishop. Black pawn structure from like isolated pawn, it's like kind of better now. Obviously white has slight advantage, I think, because his pieces are much active, and black king is a bit weaker in the center. So but this bishop is doing a great job controlling this even square. Because let's say after knight g, let's say if it was on somewhere like f8 g7, right, then white can play knight g5 rook e1. It's so bad. So f5, f5, and okay, no name, love from USA, studio tour. Okay, you mean my whole this thing. Okay, okay, not now, but I might show in some other video, right? Because now, like, I kept a camera in a way that, like, in a nice thing. Actually, full room is not so. I mean, like, everything stuff and all is there, like books. I have to set everything and all. So okay, I'll show, but not in this video, mate. Not today, but I might show someday for sure. So Akash is here. Akash, hello, bye, kaise ho? Hello. I'm nice. How are you? Thanks for joining. So where are we? Yeah, as we thought, Magnus played knight g5, attacking this pawn, and I think black has to play king e7 now. But white has bishop c4 again, attacking this pawn. Okay, Aryan Tari played king e7. Now let's see what Magnus might do. Let's think, right? a3 is one move. Okay, let's see what are the possibilities. a3 is one move, because like if he moves his bishop from here, then we can play rook e1. So a3 is one move. He can play bishop c4 also, attacking this pawn. But then black simply has e5, I guess. So bishop c4 is not so good. What about a3? I'm thinking about a3 actually. Let's say bishop a5, then I want to play b4, bishop back, and rook e1. So bishop back and rook h1. Attacking this pawn. He cannot play e5 because I'll just take on e5, right? Yeah. So yeah, bishop b3. Sorry, bishop b6 and rook h7. I don't know. I actually I like white position because some weak pawns he has. So a3, I don't know. Maybe he wants to play something like h6 or what. Like if like he's saying like, okay, you are attacking this bishop, I'm attacking your piece. Now what you gonna do? It's actually interesting because taking is obviously bad because h5, and I think black is better. And if he comes back, then he's like, okay, now I am going to play bishop c5 or bishop d6, something, whatever it is. Still I like white position, but that's better. So h6, I can take on a6 maybe, but takes. He cannot take because bishop d is on check, losing the rook. Yeah, this is better for white, I guess. Actually, I like white position a bit. Okay, what I am thinking is a3, or I don't see any other better move, because the main thing is if I slow down a bit, then black will just equalize the position, right? So yeah, that's not good. So I think he has to play. He has to do something. Okay, let's see. Let's go to Anish Giri's game. Anish Giri. Um. Okay, what is happening in this? Okay, d4, knight f6, d4, knight f6, c4. Okay, Anish is playing with Tonchenko Alexander. So d4, knight f6, c4, e6. Nimzo variation. Nimzo is very popular from long back, and it's still one of the most popular openings. And yeah, it's been playing in higher level opening. Even I played myself Nimzo a lot of times. So knight c3, bishop b4, knight f3, short castle. This is actually called. This is not so mainline, but long back around like let's say 2000, at that time, this is a used to call Kasparov variation. Like even now it's called like that, Kasparov variation. So what happened? Wait, just a minute, guys. Just a minute. Some issue. Wait, what happened? Wait. No, this chat. Okay, Ashish Naki sir, hello. No name, hello. Come on, man, stop. Contact details, okay, come on. How can I give that? Sorry, bro. So nice city. Okay, let's get back to the game. Um, so bishop b4, knight f3, short castling, bishop d2. This is a typical variation. Actually, this has got more popularity because of Indian GM Sandeepan Chanda. At some point, he only used to play this bishop d2 variation. After that, this bishop d2 got so complicated. I mean, so popular, and a lot of beautiful games are there in this bishop d2 variation. So bishop d2, b6, e3, e3, Just a minute guys, some problem. I'm getting bit confused with this chat box, like what are the options. Okay, I'll see about it later, it's fine. Okay, let's make it 50. Yeah, thank you bro, thank you. Thanks for joining. Yeah, it's fine actually. This chat thing I'm a bit confused. Okay guys, it's fine. So b6 e3, bishop into c3, this is common. Bishop takes c3, knight e4. Because why he took bishop c3 is to gain control on this e4 square. It's normal plan like playing bishop b7, knight e4, f5. Full control on that e4 square. That's one of the important things. So e3, bishop c3, bishop takes c3, knight e4, rook c1 is normal. Okay, so Harsha, any plan for upcoming tournaments? Upcoming tournaments. What upcoming tournaments, bro? Actually, look for OTB. I think no plan yet. Maybe till April, May. Still free. Like we'll be playing title Tuesday, and if some big tournaments like Tata still happen, I will do live. Just like that. No, Ashish, actually it's like what to say? There are like some options, right? When you click on the message, like report, remove, put user in timeout. Before actually I didn't wanted to delete his messages. No, so I pressed like timeout. I don't know what I did. A hide user I pressed and it's like okay, all his messages got deleted. Okay, actually I didn't wanted to do that. I mean I didn't know like what will happen, right? So put user in timeout means I think for some time he cannot message, I think, right? But okay, anyway, it's fine. Yeah. Okay, no name. Sorry, mate. Actually, I didn't want to do that. By mistake, it happened. So I was trying to, undo it, but that option is not there actually. Like once I pressed it, I think I cannot make it back, right? So all his messages got deleted. But okay, fine. Mistakes happen, so it's fine. From next time, I'll be a bit careful, man. Actually, I don't know. I think by mistake I hided his name on this channel. Sorry, mate. Yeah, it can come back, right? Yeah. Hi. No, title arena I won't play. I mean, okay, I'm thinking to play, but because like we'll be having the work all the day, right? And it's at midnight, 12:30. Like I think it starts 12:30. I mean, title Tuesday itself is late, like 11:30, and that starts at 12:30, and it will go on till 3. I think around 3 a.m. or 3:30 a.m. Like it's okay. It's too late, and can give all full 100%, and I should be like if I have to be active right while playing, and I have to analyze it and if I be dull, it won't be good. So Ignis Khan, where are you from? I am from Hyderabad, mate. I'm from Hyderabad, Telangana. Big fan. Thank you, man. Thank you. How to spell that actually? Yunus Khan. It's a bit different name. Okay, okay, guys. Okay, let's get back to the game, right? I have to analyze a lot of games actually. I have just seen Hare Krishna's game and Magnus game. Um, Thanks for Ashish for letting me know, and for all of you guys, thanks for joining. So where are we? So bishop b7, bishop d3. This is all common. d6, short castling. Yeah, and he took on c3. So what's the point? Like after why he took after short castling? So white has double bishop advantage, and he's keeping an eye on this knight for like eye on that bishop for a long time. So short castling. Now white is threatening to play bishop e1, and maintain that double bishop advantage. And in future, let's say when the position gets open, white will have a very good position, right? Like let's say for example, if we didn't took the bishop on c3, let's say he just played knight d7. I'm going to play bishop e1. If queen is on, let's say I'm going to play knight d2, and he has to take. If he didn't take, then I will play f3. Sorry, if he didn't take, then I'll play f3, force him to take, and I'll take with the bishop. Now if you look at this position, white has double bishop advantage in this position, and he will play e4, bishop c3, and those bishops will be very strong. And if black opens up the position with e5, bishops are going to get very active, and it's good. Like if the position gets open, it's good for white, right? So after short castle, he took that bishop. Makes sense. Anish took with the rook, knight d7, d5. This bishop is very active, so he's like, okay, I'm going to block that bishop. So e5. He cannot take actually. It's bad because I'll just take. Bishop h7 is a nice tactic. If he takes with the king, then queen takes d5. And if we look at this king is bit weak, and this c7 pawn is weak. He cannot push the pawn because let's say he played knight f6. Okay, knight f6. I can just play queen c6 and keep pressure on the c7 pawn. And let's see if we somehow defended and pushed this pawns to c5. Then the d6 pawn became backward, and then that's the weakness. You drew with recovery indeed. I saw. Thanks, mate. Thanks. Bhargav. Thanks, Bhargav. So, thank you guys. I just want to know how many people are watching this live. Let's see. 18 people. Wow. That's amazing. Thank you everyone for watching, for joining the stream. So okay, let's get going. So what happened? Bishop d3, d6, short castling, knight c3, rook c3, knight d7, d5. He played e5, blocked it obviously. e4, a5, bishop c2. So as you can see here, what's his plan? He played e4, cleared this rank, he moved the bishop. So his plan is like, let's say he can move knight at some point and he can play rook g3 or h3, g3 h3 somewhere. So bishop c2, yeah, knight c5, knight d2, and it makes sense. So I think the position is bit pleasant for a bit, but black is also fine because black can play bishop c8. Like white's plan is to play knight d2 and play rook g3, or he can play for b3, a3, and b4, slowly gaining on queen side. And what black has to do is to play bishop c8 because this bishop got locked in this diagonal. So he can play bishop c8, and play f5, open up in the center. So that's nice. So I think the position is around equal. I don't know, maybe around equal. So let's go. Let's see Fabiano's game. Oh, interesting position. So Fabiano is playing with Duda. He's playing with Duda, John Christopher, Fabiano. Just a minute, guys. Okay, sorry. Let's get back. OBS, what happened? Everything is good. I think everything is good. Yeah. Okay, let's keep going. So Fabiano is playing against Duda. So e4. As we know, Fabiano is really good in opening preparation. So e4, e5, knight f3, knight f6. So he played Petrov defense, Duda. So knight e5, d6. This is all theory. I think there are a lot of lines in this. So let's just go to the middle game, right? Okay, as we know, he cannot take on e4 because queen e2 is coming. Pin. He cannot move the knight. Knight c6, and just losing the queen. If d5, then d3. This piece is attack, and white will just be pawn up. So d6, knight f3, knight e4, knight f3, knight e4, knight c3, takes, d takes, because obviously we want to take with the d pawn because to open up the diagonal. Bishop e7, yeah, bishop e3, developing the pieces. Short castling, long castling. Knight f6, bishop d3. So if we can see, whenever we get opposite castlings, then we are going to get an interesting game. Like white will attack on king side and black will attack on the queen side, right? Okay. OBS was not fine. Okay. Yeah, when I scroll down for the games, it's going down, right? Yeah, that's what. So bishop d3 c5. This is all theory. I think all this has been played by Fabiano himself from black, like for world championship match, and he had played this himself from black. So bishop d3 c5 rook g1. Just look at this. Just now we thought that okay, if opposite castlings, game is going to get interesting. Rook g1. The idea is to play g4 g5. So bishop d3 c5 rook g1, and obviously it makes sense, right? Like king is in front of the rook, so just g4 g5 pushing the pawn. So b5. I think rook g1 is kind of novelty, or I think no one played this because I know till c5, and there are moves like rook h e1 and bishop g5 or h4, something like that. Rook g1 I am not quite sure. It makes sense like to play g4 g5. So b5 is going to be interesting. So g4, just opening up on the king side. Bishop b7, queen e2. He attacked this knight, right? So he's just defending the knight. Okay, let's see. As we can see, the actually can take with the bishop or with the knight. First, what we can say is it might be equal or better, we don't know exactly, but taking the pawn which is in front of the king, generally practically it's a bad idea always, because it's like, you know, opening up the gate for like for checkmate for himself. Like let's say after taking here, white just plays rook g3, and just look at this, the file is open. This bishop, rook h g1 will come, every piece will join the game, and it's not good, not at all good. Even same for white, like it's, let's say if he takes the pawn on b5, and it's like he's opening his king like self opening, right? It's very bad, like rook b8, and it's like because of taking the pawn, it's like file is getting open now and black is getting full attack. So g4, bishop, queen, c4, attacking the bishop, bishop f5, only square, rook e8, knight d4, knight d5. So what? Let's analyze this. So black is threatening to take the bishop on e3 and play bishop g5. Then the pawn structure is fixed, and looks like the attack won't come that much, right? So let's say doesn't white have knight e6? Looks interesting, right? Because now the queen is attacked. If he takes, I'll take king moves and bishop d5, and I think it's just better for white. I mean, he just pawn up, so I would say it's just completely better. Knight d5, knight e6. I don't know, let's see. So what is there guys? What do you guys think? Knight e6 is, it looks very interesting. Like he cannot play queen d7 or queen z because knight g7, bishop is attacking the queen, and he'll lose the rook. Queen b6 is not there because bishop is controlling the square. Only move is queen a5. because he cannot take it also, because he is just losing the pawn. So only move is queen f5 or queen b8, but queen b8 looks very bad. Queen a5, at least it's attacking the pawn on a2. So what now? What do you guys think? What now? Very complicated. Actually, I can't tell exactly the variations because a lot is happening now. Like even white has to be very precise, right? Because the pawn on a2 is hanging. Maybe I can simply play king b. Okay, not king b, only kill, take on e3. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Maybe queen f3. I don't like queen f3. Maybe bishop d4. If he takes, then I can take with the queen. Wow, amazing lines, guys. King h8, queen h6. Wow, let's look at this. Now threatening double checkmate. Taking g7 is threatened, e6, h7 is also attacked. Okay, instead of rook e8, why not g6? Knight d5 was mistake, yeah. That's what, I think knight e6 was good. Oh, this is amazing. If you see once again, like, okay, I mean, it's not forced to take on e6, but if he takes king moves and queen h6. Brilliant. I think it's forced checkmate. Knight f6, I'll just take. He cannot take the queen because it's pinned. So instead of rook e8, why not g6? Yeah, it makes sense. Like, okay, the bishop is trapped around, right? Yeah, bishop is trapped. He cannot go anywhere. But maybe I think, okay, what Duda thought was, I think, as I said before, let's say if he takes on f5, then g f5, then it's like he's opening up the file for himself, right? And if we see, Fabiano is fully prepared. Like till bishop f5, he played very fast, like below 1 minute. And after rook e8 for knight d4, he took 12 minutes. That means if we see generally, definitely he must have analyzed g6. I think Duda knew that. Like, okay, it's like, okay, he played so fast till now. I don't know, he played some new moves, so I don't know. So obviously g6, his bishop is, I mean, it's piece trap, but white is fully prepared. I am sure that uh, Fabiano would have blissed out the moves after g6. So I thought, okay, I have to play something different, let him think. Like practically, I think that is a good it's a good choice. But g6, let's think. Actually, what's wrong if he plays g6? What I thought is bishop d4. If he takes, I'll take king h8 and rook e1. If we see now, the rook on 8, let's say, is like out of the game, like it's not doing anything. This piece, it's cut off, full attacking this e7, and it's like almost checkmate. I think it's over. I feel like it's over. Have to play rook e8, defend this thing, I mean this bishop, then queen takes e7, amazing sacrifice. Rook takes e7 and bishop f6, it's checkmate. This rook is controlling this square, I mean this file, sorry. So if he takes with the queen, takes, and again still checkmate. So I mean obviously after bishop d4 he doesn't have to take on f5. But still, if we think in practical view, Fabiano is fully prepared here. So it's not so good for Dura, right, to go into that. So rook e8, knight d4, yeah, obviously. Oh, after 43 minutes of, wow, guys, Fabiano took 43 minutes for 96 move. Means I think he have seen till checkmate. I think he like lot of variations are there, right? So I think he has obviously it's very complicated, and now we are just analyzing, so we can just simply say like what if 96, what if this. But while playing game, he has to have the dare, right, to give, okay, like I am going to give peace sacrifice almost. So if something goes bad, then it'll like he might lose peace or lose the game. So he has to think a lot. So 96 is good. Just a minute, okay. 96 was good. And yeah, this game we must follow. Very interesting. I think both players will think a lot because lot of variations are there. I think Doda is going to play queen a5, and I feel like maybe bishop d4, black has bishop f6. So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe taking on g7 doesn't look right. Bishop d4 I like, but bishop f6 I am not sure. Okay, let's come back to this game again. We have to see a lot of games. Let's go to Firoza game. Let's go to Firoza game, guys. So Firoza is playing against Anton Gujiro David. Anton play yesterday Magnus versus Anton, which was very intense, and Anton had very bad position, but somehow he defended against endgame genius. That was amazing defense by Anton. So let's see. Firoza played d4, knight f6, knight f3, d5. He played London system. Wow. He played bishop f4. Play London system. Generally, at top level, only Magnus plays it sometimes. Like even not in classic, like rapid or blitz. Sometimes in classical. So Firoza played London system. c5, e3. This is all theory. Knight d2, takes, bishop f5, bishop b5, rook c8, c3, e6, queen e2, and knight d7. I am not sure about this move. Generally, black plays like bishop e7 short castling or bishop d6. Exchange this bishop and short castling, or sometimes h6, like to keep this bishop on h7. Knight d7, I am not sure. Anton plays this kind of stuff actually. He's very aggressive player, I would say. So knight d7, h4. Wow, h4. Firoza kind of move. As we know, Firoza is very he's aggressive player, very strong aggressive player, and yeah, we will see kind of these moves in upcoming games as well. So knight d7, h4, a6, bishop d3, takes, and bishop e7. So what about this position? If actually I think black managed to equalize. I like black position. Obviously, short castling is not a good way. I think it's better to wait. Like, let's say if white short castling, then black can do short castling. I expected king f1, guys. I expected king f1. So what I wanted to say is like, if short castling example, then black can do short castling because from h1 the rook came to f1, so there is not much attack on king side, right? Only with queen, knight, like he cannot do he cannot do anything. Like knight f6 and h6 is just black should be fine. So like if we just wait here, then let's say if we short castling, let's say for example some more short castling and knight g5. Now if we takes hg5, this rook on h1 is the key piece in this attack, and knight f6 I can play knight f3, rook h3, rook g3, or for h5 h6 this rook on h1 is important. So what to do if we see correctly? What to do? Our king like should be safe, but the rook also should be here. So king f1. This kind of moves we see a lot when opponent plays this h4 moves, etc. Like when the player plays h4 move, or from black h5 we see king f8 sometimes in French defense. So king f1. The thing is, anyway this rook should be here for the to join the attack. So the king moves to f1, which feels a bit safer. Like let's say even he can go to g1, and this rook it's fine here actually, because he can play h5 h6 or rook h3 rook g3, and white like this king after this king f1, rook e1 will also come, this square for the rook. Actually this was like, if we see here, very solid position. After 3 moves, after 4 moves, like it's like okay, it's getting unclear slowly. So now white will play rook e1 h5 rook h3 attack, just attack. So either black has two ways. Either he should exchange some pieces, or should open up in the center. Opening up in the center is not good because his king is in center. So maybe I think he has to do something with the queen side, or play knight f6 and exchange this bishop. Interesting game. Let's go to another game. Let's go to Bashir versus Esipenko Andrew. Looks like a very interesting game. Looks like very interesting game. Okay, just a minute. Yeah. So e4 c5 knight f3 d6 d4 cd4. As we know, Maxim Veshilagra, I would say in present times is the best knight of opening, like is the expert in present days. In olden days it would be Fischer, after that Gary Kasparov, and in present days I would say Bashir is like expert in knight of Sicilian. So knight f3 d6 d4 cd4 queen d4. So as we can see, knight of means obviously black players always wants to play complicated chess, unclear positions, etc. And obviously Bashir is really good in open positions, complicated structures. He's like attacking player, not like attacking. Yeah, he's attacking player. So he took queen d4, solid opening. Knight c6, queen e3. As we can see here again, queen e3 means either white is planning to play bishop d2, like to bring here, or to play b3 bishop b2. So queen e3, knight f6, bishop e2, g6. This is all theory. Short castling, bishop g7, rook d1. Short castling, knight c3, Actually guys, I played this myself from black. Bishop e6 move. I played this move myself from black, and I think only some 2 or 3 games are there when I played this bishop e6 move. So actually I analyzed a lot about this bishop e6 move, and I think I won that game, if I'm not wrong. I don't remember where I played, but I think in Poland or somewhere, I don't exactly remember, but I played this bishop e6 move. So this is all kind of theory. Knight d5, rook c8, c3. Now I am not sure. Rook e8. This is a new position. So rook e8, queen f4. This is some unusual stuff, right? Like if you look at this, if you look at the position, this is generally in knight of opening, these kind of queen f, like the bishop will be on e3 and the queen will be on d2, but here it looks completely different. So queen f4, what's his plan? He wants to play queen h4 and play bishop g4, bishop h6. So I think here after knight d5, I think Bashir should take on d5. I am not sure about that actually. Okay, maybe what he played was also nice. Queen f4, queen f5, attacking this knight, because this knight is very strong here, and he doesn't want to take also, because if he takes, he'll take with the pawn and he'll lose control of some squares, some important squares. So queen h5, sorry, queen h4. So Esipinko is going with his plan, like to play bishop h6 or what else. Now comes, like we know, right, Bashir is a very active player. He took knight d5, e d5, bishop d5, b4. So what white thought is that, okay, I kept a trap now. You cannot take on d5, because after b4, queen b5 is not there, because bishop is attacking, I mean controlling the square. You have to go back for sure. If you take here, I'll just take, and queen is controlling, I mean defending this pawn again. You have to go back, and I'm winning the piece. So I think Esipinko thought, okay, that's a nice trap. But Bashir went even further. I think he thought, you know what, okay, I'm going to sack my queen. Bishop f3. Obviously he should take queen, bishop e2. So let's see guys, let's analyze this position. This is one of the interesting positions. I think Fabiano's and this game is very interesting. So if we see clearly, black has very good compensation. Okay, let's count now. Okay, so bishop, bishop, 2 rooks. For queen, black has knight and bishop, generally, which is not sufficient. Like it's very less, right? It's not sufficient like material to, like queen is even more active than bishop and knight, obviously. But if we see another thing, we observe white pawn structure. So 3 versus 3. So white black has only in this position knight, bishop and pawn for the queen. But if we clearly look at the pawn structure, this pawn he will, like he's about to lose, because he has to move the rook and he'll take. This pawn, it's weak, very weak. So I mean generally I think he will lose that pawn as well. So let's say rook d5 he played, bishop c3 and rook b1. Still I think white is kind of better, because I mean okay, whatever, like even if you get pawns, it's queen, right? Queen is a very strong piece. So let's say one scenario, like let's say, okay, this pawn is very weak anyway. Let's say like he can take this pawn, or he'll lose this pawn for sure. So even after winning this pawn, for these two pawns like a7 and b7, let's say exchanges with a2 pawn, like 2 pawns I am giving this 1 pawn. So then like 3 versus 5 on the king side, all pawns are connected like h7, g6, f7, e7, d6, all pawns are connected. And let's exchange the pieces also, like 2 rooks for 2 rooks, let's exchange that. Bishop for bishop, let's exchange that. So if you imagine the position, queen versus 3, queen and 3 pawns king versus knight bishop 5 pawns and king. And let's remove these 2 pawns and 1 pawn on the queen side also, right? Then there is actually no weakness at all for black, like all pawns are connected. So with knight and bishop, I feel like black can create a fortress. So I think Bashir thought like, okay, his pawns are weak and I want to play some interesting game. So let's give queen sack. Even if something goes wrong, if I somehow win this 2 pawns on the queen side, I can make fortress on the king side. It's very interesting actually. So let's come back to the game, right? So he played knight b4, attacking the rook. Amil Agarwal, I like your background. Thanks, mate. Thank you so much. So let's see. What about takes? What if he takes? He'll just take with the bishop, takes, and it's checkmate. So he cannot take. That's a blunder. So let's see what are the squares for the rook. If we see, there are no squares actually. if we observe clearly, rook b5 is not there. Bishop is controlling. c5 is not there. Rook is and pawn is there. d4 is not there. Bishop is there. This is not there. Knight, bishop controlling, pawn controlling. This is bishop and pawn. Only square is rook g5 now. And now I think he can play, if rook g5 can play bishop d3, I guess, attacking this rook. So he cannot take again because bishop takes and this c1 is attack, right? So he has to play rook b3, and black can play bishop f6. I'm not sure, like he has this option. So again this c1 bishop is attack, and g5 rook is also attack. He will win the rook. And rook and knight or rook and bishop whatsoever, I think it's good, right? Very good compensation for the queen. Okay, some moves happen. Let's go back. So actually, okay, he thought, okay, anyway I'm losing the rook, I'm playing rook d4, and I'll give my rook for this c3 bishop at least, because like, okay, he is losing the rook, but if at least if he gets this bishop, the pawn, like he played g6, right? So da squared is weak and he can create some mating attacks. So he thought, okay, I'm giving the rook for this active piece. Obviously Bashir took, takes, knight is attacked, so he went back and attacked this queen. Okay, let's come to a conclusion about this position. Now for queen, black has rook, knight and a pawn, which is really good compensation, because obviously rook and knight and pawn, can keep up with the queen, right, in some positions. The main important thing is the pawn structure. Black pawn structure is very solid, and okay, white has some weak pawns on a5 and a2. The only one drawback I would say in black pawn structure is this g6 pawn. Let's say if this was on g7 and like the pawn was on, this pawn was on f6, I would say black is completely fine. So now because of g6, it's sometimes it's bit unpleasant, right? Like let's say if I play queen e3 now, attacking this bishop, next move I would play bishop b2, and I will play queen h6. No, It's bit uncomfortable if you look at this. And black has to play e6 and the position gets bit weakened on the king side. It's bit uncomfortable, right? So okay, let's see. But okay, what Vishir plays is very brave and amazing. Yeah, we all can enjoy it. Like if you see from here, like he knew that he's going to lose the queen. Like I think he thought everything before itself and thought okay, this position is fine for me. Interesting position. So one more game is there. Oysters Jack versus Van Forest Jordan. So I think if we look at this is okay, then we covered all the games. Just a minute, guys. Okay. Okay, so Oyster versus Van Forest. Van Forest is from Netherlands, young player, and recently uh, he's playing very well. And the most important thing is his opening variations. Like he has found a lot of new variations. One of the strongest player in juniors. So let's see d4, d5, c4, e6, knight f3, knight f6, knight c3, c5. Oh, he also played this. I think the same version was played by Tari Aryan, right, against Magnus Carlsen. So Van Forest also played this. cd5, same version. C takes d4, queen takes d4, ed5, bishop g5. So Magnus played e4 with Aryan Tari, and Oistazek played bishop g5. As we know, there will be lot of lines, right? Like different, like it's their taste, what line to choose, or on that day what may feel to play. Like Magnus thought, okay, I'll just go to end the game, pleasant end game, and I'll try there. Maybe Oistazek thought, okay, end the game, okay, I'm not interested, so I'm going to play middle game. So he played bishop g5, bishop e7 because it's been like threatening to take on f6 and d5, bishop e7. Now if you thought, okay, what is this, I can take and take on d5, right, winning the pawn, but it's a blunder because bishop c3 check first and just losing the queen. So it's a blunder, you should be careful. So bishop g5 and e3, it makes sense, right? Like if you first play e3, this bishop is kind of locked inside. So bishop g5 first and e3. Short castling, rook d1, like keeping the pressure on the isolated pawn on d5. Bishop e6, defending that. Bishop d3, h6, bishop h4, knight c6, queen a4, queen b6, rook d2, defending this b2 pawn. Rook d8, short castling. So if you look at this position, black has developed all his pieces and white has developed all his pieces. So black has this isolated pawn. So if we get rid of this isolated pawn, like let's say if we get d4 and if the pawn gets exchanged, black is completely fine and white should try to stop that. Now d4 is not possible because guys, I can just take, like with the pawn or with the knight. Takes, I'll just take. If he takes with the rook, there is a nice tactic. If you guys see, queen takes d4, queen takes d4, bishop hits on check, and simply white is just exchange up. We always have to be careful about this kind of tricks. So rook c8, h3, like he's bringing the last piece into the game, h3, like removing the back rank and controlling this g4 square. Like sometimes it might be annoying, right, when like bishop g4, black can play bishop g4 and attack this knight. It will be annoying. So h3, controlling that square, a6, rook c1, rook c1, king f8, king f8. Oh, king f8, I am not sure. What's the, maybe he thought, okay, so king f8, let's think. Maybe he thought like, okay, maybe it will go to end game and it's better to keep like king come to the center. I don't know exactly. I don't know exactly, but yeah, maybe he thought that, okay, generally in these positions pieces might get exchanged. Like let's say after he moves his knight, white moves his knight, then pieces get exchanged, and if the king is closer to center it's better, right? So maybe that's why king, bishop b1. Yeah, I think, yeah, I found it. The most important thing. What's the problem with d4, guys? That bishop hits on check. That's why I played king f8. Now let's say some random move hits a3. Now d4. Takes. Now it's black is winning. Because bishop hits on check is not there. That's the point of king f8. And he thought that, okay, king h8 or king f8, which is better to get away from this check. He thought king f8 is better, obviously, because like that is like going away, right? Like corner to the board. King f8 is like, okay, I'm close to the center. Nice. So bishop b1, stopping d4, knight a5, queen d4. So knight a5 threatening to play knight c4. He played queen d4, takes, knight c4 and rook d c2. Obviously I like white position because I always like to play against isolated pawn, not with isolated pawn. I think not, I mean not only me, like everyone will wish to play against isolated pawn. Now if we look at this position, this pawn is weak. This knight on d4 is permanent, like we cannot move it with the pawn. These rooks are like well placed. Now I think white's plan is to play knight e2. This knight to e2. Okay, he played b5. Okay. Now I think white will play knight to e2, a3, bishop a2. But the only problem in this position is this bishop. If this bishop was on d3 instead of p1, white position is very pleasant. Now bringing this bishop out is the important thing. How to do that? I cannot play b3 to remove this knight because a3 square is getting loose. After a3 I cannot remove this knight because then I cannot play b3. Obviously a3 pawn will be hanging. So obviously if we compare a3 and b3, b3 is better. So I think he should play knight e2, b3, exchange the rooks and play bishop d3. Then I think it's almost equal. Bit better for white, but maybe black can defend then. Interesting position. Okay, let's see. Okay, we finished all the games. So let's get back to Fabiano's game once because that was interesting. Oh, he didn't play it. Wow, he still didn't play it more. Duda. Yeah, obviously it's like very complicated and very dangerous position for black. Yeah, bishop is coming, rook on g1, bishop on f5. Very dangerous position. Okay, we'll come back at this later. Let's go to Hare Krishna's game. So we left it here, rook c1, rook c8, rook d1. So Hare Krishna played h6. So I think he wanted to stop this knight g5, like bishop g5, this stuff. That square, he controlled that square. Bishop d2, just develop the piece. Knight g6. Obviously you have to play knight g6 because to develop this bishop. White played h4 to play h5 and kick this knight out again back to e7. Bishop b4. It is important to play bishop b4 because, like, let's say some random move and white will play h5 and he has to go back again, then it's like just tempo waste and this bishop is stuck on f8. So bishop b4, knight a4, attacking the queen. Queen has to go back. h5, attacking the knight. Again this should go back. And he played bishop f4. I think Grandalis is playing really nice. I like white position. He is using his space advantage really well. So bishop f4, obviously exchanging is black wants to exchange, right? That's why he played bishop b4. He played bishop f4. So what's the plan? The bishop, with this bishop, black is facing some problems, like it might get trapped, like a3 b4, or it has to go to the worst square, possibly is b6. Like from there it's not doing anything, right? So bishop f4, queen f5, b3. Now white threat is to play a3. Bishop is trapped, and his plan is like, if you play knight f5, I'm going to play g4. You have to go back again, there is no square. Wow, I think white is better. Obviously I like white position. Yeah, that's the thing, right? If you look at this, actually this is not a main line. This bishop d7 and bishop b5. Maybe Hare Krishna thought to surprise him, but I think Grandis has played well. I don't know, it's unclear actually. Maybe Hare Krishna is also obviously he exchanged his bad bishop. He might find some interesting plan, and I would say this position is bit unclear, and once he exchange, maybe he can play queen a6. Once he exchanges the queen, maybe it's equal, but okay, now it's not good because takes a3, bishop a5 only move, and knight c5, then just losing the pawn. So this is not good. What to do? a3 is the threat. Obviously Hare Krishna is a very strong player. Definitely he'll find something. Maybe b5. b5, I thought, okay, knight c5 is not good, then take, and I would prefer black's position. Knight b2 is not good, obviously, then at least black has this bishop a3. Actually black can play bishop a3 now, controlling this a3 itself. And this bishop on a3 is controlling this c1 square, and white can never play rook c1. And if bishop c1 to remove that, obviously black will be happy. So after b5, let's say, I think a3 takes, knight b4 and queen d2. Threatening to take on a4 with the rook, and I like white position here a bit because this bishop h6 kind of stuff is there, like if you short castling, right? Okay, I think bishop a3 or b5. I think only in these two moves, right? Or what else? Going back queen d8 or queen c7 is not good. I feel like he'll play bishop a3 or b5. In these two moves, I am not sure. Maybe bishop a3. Okay, we'll look at it. Let's go to Magnus game. So what Magnus played? Just minute. Okay, yeah, everything is good. So what Magnus played? Okay, yeah, he played the move what we thought, a3. That's what we thought, right? Like to remove that bishop for rook e1. But after bishop a5, I thought he would play b4, but he played f4. Why not b4? Maybe he thought something else or what? Maybe he thought bishop c7, huh? Or bishop b6. Okay, maybe he thought bishop b6, I think. Like rook e1, then knight d4. This bishop is protecting this knight, and like is defending the pawn also, right? So he thought maybe okay, I'll play f4 first. I'll fix the pawn on e6. Fixing that pawn structure, yes, nice. h6. Yeah, that knight is very strong on g5, so should go back. Rook d8. Takes. Okay, he thought okay, if he takes with the rook, then he'll take and play rook c1, and this pawn will become weak, right, on c6. So he took knight. He took with the knight, rook d1, rook c7, controlling rook d7 check. Sorry, rook d7. Sorry, rook c7 and knight e5. I think threatening to play knight check maybe and win this knight. He played a6, attacking that bishop. Obviously should go back. Bishop b6, knight g6 check, king a8, bishop h5, and knight c6. This is the position, guys. I feel like black HU'd it. I feel like it's a draw. I mean, sorry, it's equal. I don't know how Magnus will continue. Obviously, Magnus has some pressure, like because knight on g6, bishop on h5, rook on d1, like all pieces are active, but how to proceed, what to do? I mean, his pieces are active, but there is no exact weakness to attack. The pawn on e6 is weak, but how to attack? I feel like if black gets knight d4, like king e8, king d8, rook d7, somehow if he manages it, then he'll be fine. g4, yeah, nice move. So he has to open up the weaknesses. Yes, this is amazing. So Magnus is trying his best. He's like, okay, if you don't take, I am going to take on f5 and play rook d5. This pawn will become weak, the f5 pawn. If he takes, maybe he'll play knight e5 check and take on g4, and this h6 pawn will become weak. Or maybe he can just take with the bishop and play rook e1, attack this, but I don't know how strong it is. But yeah, he's trying his best. So if we see from the opening, these kind of lines, are solid lines. Like obviously, like from black, it's like okay, draw is fine for me. When he thought draw is fine for me, he'll play this line. Because from the beginning, if we see, only white is trying, right? Only white is trying in this position from the beginning. So black is like okay, I'm fine with the draw. So he played g4. Let's see how it goes. Okay, let's go to wait this okay, so Duda played queen a5, that's what we thought. And Fabi played queen f3. I think we thought this move as well. Yeah, as I thought bishop d4, black has bishop f6. So I thought queen f3 also. But I didn't thought about it much because a lot of options are there. Like let's say queen a2 is there now. Knight takes c3 is there. Knight takes c3 is there. A lot is there. What he thought, man? How he thought this much? Okay, let's see. Let's go one by one, right? Like, okay, what if queen a2? What if queen a2? Bishop f7, bishop h7. I think bishop h7, right? Should take with the king. Queen takes f7, threatening checkmate. Bishop f6 should defend and rook g3. And I think it's force mate. Wow. Amazing. I think bishop h1 is a threat. No, I think bishop h1 is the main threat. No. Just look at this g4, rook g1, rook g3, and it will join the attack. If knight c3, let's say. Knight c3, I can just take the bishop maybe. Or same. Bishop takes h7, takes, queen f7, bishop f6. But this time it looks a bit fishy, right? I cannot play rook g3 because knight e2 check and losing the rook. Maybe... Okay, taking here, that looks very risky. Because he'll play check and take the pawn with the check. No, maybe I can take. But okay, you can take with the bishop also. Because I thought if check king, check king, check rook, okay, queen j6, this is not good. Yeah, this is not good. Let's go back. What if knight c3? I think queen h3 I don't like because g6 is there. Queen b7 I'm not sure. I thought at least he can take on e6. Okay, then check this piece up, right? Just a minute, guys. Yeah, so I'm not sure. Queen takes b7, knight e2 check and take the rook, but it doesn't make sense, right? Like taking the rook, the king is very problematic now. I can play knight c7, or I can even take on g1 actually, or I can take on g7 and take on g1. Obviously I would prefer white here. Maybe I can play knight c7, rook b8 and queen c6 maybe, attacking this rook and this piece as well. Not sure. Still a lot of like it's too complicated to think all those variations. So one we found queen a2 is bad because check and queen f7 is there and rook g3 is mate. Knight c3 I'm not sure. I think queen b7 only is the move. What else is there? If he takes on e3, then also I can take and play this, right? Take, then bishop f6 or rook g8. Let's say, sorry, rook g8, queen h5 is checkmate. So bishop f6, then rook g3. Either checkmate. So there is some interesting lines actually. Knight g2, let's say, rook h3, knight h4, takes and checkmate. And yes, bishop g2, something weird kind of move. But maybe I can just take on e3, right? And this bishop is attack. Yeah, it should be completely winning. I think Fabi should be almost winning. Just look at this position, guys. Petrov is considered as very solid opening and very, like drawish opening. But if we look at the position now, just 17 moves happened and it looks like this, almost winning for white. I wouldn't say almost winning. Even if it is winning, I don't know the evaluation. So very complicated, let's say. And in this complicated battle, white has the chances. So actually can take here. Takes king h8. Then white has to take, and he can take, and he can take this pawn, right? Okay, but then rook d1. What he planned, Fabi? What he planned? He has to take. What else? Take on d5. Even if he takes with the queen, then queen a2. I don't know what he has planned for this queen a2. What do you want? Threatening to play queen h1 this, or I can take the b2 pawn also. Maybe he'll play rook g3, queen a1, king, queen b2, rook h3, and just give the sack. Like let's say some random move b4, rook h7, takes, rook h5 check, king g6, queen f5 mate. If king g8, queen d5 check, and rook h8 mate. Lot of amazing variations are there. Yeah, this rook g3, rook h3 plan is very strong. Yeah, very complicated game. So let's take a final look, guys. I would be going. So let's take a final look. So Magnus, after taking, he played rook d6, attacking this pawn. So that now he cannot move his knight because this bishop is attacked. He cannot defend this pawn actually. If king f7, maybe something like what f5 or what? No, f5 looks too much, right? I don't. Okay, maybe f5. Yeah, I think f5. Yeah, I think f5. Wow, I think if king f7, f5 takes, knight h4 check, and is going to take on f5, and this g4 pawn is attack and h6 pawn is attack. He cannot move the knight for the moment. I think white will be pawn up. I mean, even after pawn up, it's a long game, but like it's like from nothing, he's going to pawn up. He's going for pawn up, right? So it's good. Oh, it's amazing. G4 takes rook d6. I think if king f7 and f5 and knight h4 check. Wow, it's nice. So obviously white is better in Magnus position. Fabiano, I think white is only better. So let's see all the games for one last time. Let's see Veshir game. After knight c6, he played queen d5, bishop a6, defending the b7 pawn, bishop g5, knight e5, bishop e3, and rook c3. So he's giving this pawn. He's like, okay, take this pawn. I won't care about it anyway because these two pawns are like even if two pawns are there, it's like one this pawn and bishop is controlling everything, right? So like if you take, I'll play rook z. I'll activate my pieces. Slowly, this pawn is defended. I'll play rook d3, rook c2. Very active position. So I would say this position is very complicated, very unclear. Let's go to Anish's position. So we saw till here. So Anish played g3. I thought like knight d2, b3, a3, b4, or bringing the rook to king side, but he played g3. Black played c6 because the bishop on b7 is closed. He wanted to open up the position, which is obviously makes sense. So he took bishop takes, queen e2, queen e7, queen e3, g6, rook e1, defending that e4 pawn even more stronger, rook a e8, and I think he played g6 to play f5. That's why he played g6 to play f5 and open up the king side. It makes sense if you see correctly. like g6, rook a8, like he's bringing all his pieces to king side to play f5. Because of g3, this diagonal has opened and became bit weak, right? So he just wanted to open. So b3, king h8, moving the king as well. Knight h4, stopping f5. So he played rook b8, another new plan to break up on the queen side, I guess. I feel like in this position it's this is also a bit unclear to equal, let's say. But if I want to prefer, I would prefer black actually in this position. I think because of the pawn structure, this bishop is better than this. But okay, black has a weak pawn on d6, so let's see. I would prefer black here. Okay, he played a3. Yeah, makes sense to play b4 and to get rid of this active knight. Let's see, it's unclear. Let's say. Let's go to Van Forest and oyster check. So after b5, yeah, as we thought. Okay. Yesterday also oyster check played what we thought, and today also exactly what I said before he played. Knight e2, b3, exchange all the pieces and played bishop g3. This is what I said before, right? Like b3 exchange all the pieces and it's slightly better for white, but I feel like black can defend if he plays accurately, but black has to be very accurate. But I think it's equal. Slightly better for white, but around equal maybe. Black should be very careful because of this isolated pawn. Okay, let's go to Firoza's game. Oh, we left this game long back. So after king f1, black played queen b6 to... Ooh, black played... Oh, that's such a nice move, queen b6. Such a nice move, queen b6. So he's threatening to take on b2, has to defend it with rook b1 because with queen he cannot do because knight d4. There is a nice tactic, knight d4, queen d4. He cannot take because rook c2 and he's just losing pawn down. So he has to defend with the rook, then queen b5. So Anton, like, he thought that okay, if I didn't exchange the queens, white is going to attack for sure, so I think it's better to exchange. So he exchanged. Okay, for exchanging he got double the points, but I think it's fine. So h5, knight b3, f6, controlling g5 and e5 square, king f7, knight f8, knight g6. This is a nice maneuvering by white actually. This knight c1, knight d3, defending this b2 pawn in future. Okay, what about this position? I feel like it's equal and both players can try actually. Like let's say white will play g3, rook e8, like some random moves I am keeping, bishop, rook e2. Like black can try for e5, but it's difficult. Like okay, let's say even rook d8, rook e2, bishop d6. Actually, I didn't like this exchanging this bishop, but okay, maybe it's fine. Takes, rook e1, b6, controlling knight c5 square. Actually, white cannot break on queen side because his pawn will become weak. This knight is controlling everything. Should be equal, guys. Should be equal, I think. So I covered all the games. So okay guys, I'll be going. Okay, let's see Magnus one last time, right? So what we thought, king f7, yeah, he played f5. That's what we thought, right? Like if he takes with the pawn, knight h4 check, he would have played for sure and take on f5. So f5, he played king f6. Wow. Such normal endgame got this complicated. So rook takes e6, he just wants to take on f5 with the king, and I think black is better. And if he takes with the pawn, maybe king g5. Suddenly we thought these pieces are active, and it's like cramped. Rook check has to be played, then king f6, knight f4. White should be better, right? What he thought if he takes with the pawn? Bishop c5 is blunder, I guess, because e7 check. If takes, then queen is nice tactic. If king f7, guys, rook f6 check. King takes f6, again queen. If king 8, then rook f8 check. And it's checkmate almost, queen. I don't know, I think takes with the pawn what he planned. Maybe knight. Okay, he cannot move the knight also because bishop is attacked. It's a major threat now, this e7 move. He has to move the king. Maybe pawn takes king g5 only. Then check king attacking this pawn again. Then what if knight f4? Then maybe knight e5, right? But knight e5 again, I have rook d6 threatening knight d5 check. I don't know, it got a bit complicated again. Let's see, this is going to be interesting, and let's one last game I want to see. Okay, queen f3. Yeah, as we thought, the main threat is to play bishop takes h7, right? So Duda played bishop f6, stopping that queen f7 move. So now queen has 3, white black just has g6, I guess. Now this f takes c6 is a real threat because we cannot take because rook is defending it. What about rook d5? Then I'll take f takes e6 first. No, wait. Something is wrong here. So let's analyze this. Rook takes d5. If f takes e6, I thought bishop h1. Like if he takes, I can play check and take here. But the problem is I'll play king f8. I cannot move my rook because queen is attacked. But I have this kind of g5 stuff, right? Maybe this is not so good. I am just losing the rook. Yeah. So bishop f6, what? Threatening to take now. What about g5? G5 looks very interesting. Like if you take here, I am going to take here. Then it's going to be mate soon for sure. Yeah, very complicated position. Amazing games. Like just look at this. Like all games are almost very complicated and amazing to see. Yeah. Okay, guys. I'll be going. Hope you all enjoyed the stream, and I hope you all like the analysis which I put up on the board. And I'll be back again tomorrow by same time, and I will do all the rounds analysis. And please follow these games, guys. Very interesting, and I'll be following as well. Very interesting and amazing games. So thanks for watching. Have a nice day, guys. See you.